It was one of my favorite E3 trailers of all time. And so when we arrived at E3 2017, we made a beeline, a freaking capital beeline to the Mario Odyssey area of E3, which is easy to find because New Donk City is raised from the ground into existence.
Bufflin.
It is a big...
It's biffin.
It's biffin.
Yeah.
There was no Biff at E3.
No, I wish there was.
But there was Super Mario Odyssey, and we all got to play it. So today, everyone, I'm Zach, this is Jake and Gabe, and we're sharing our thoughts on Super Mario Odyssey.
I kind of want to be Gabe and Jake.
Gabe and Jake instead of Jake and Gabe?
Yeah.
We'll
Are you,
talk about
are you
that.
capturing me with your hat? Is that why your name comes first?
Gabe does wear a lot of hats. He does have that Cappy. And how did you guys like... Let's start with this. There were 2 levels to play, and we kind of split them amongst ourselves. How did you guys like the cap mechanic?
I think it's hilarious that Cappy's actually a white like tuxedo top hat.
Yeah.
And he literally looks like your Ghost Robo logo. It's 100%. He has the hair. He's got the fins.
Who's Ghost Robo?
Yeah, who is this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got mistaken for somebody else.
What are you talking
I'm
about?
thinking of something else. It must have been a dream I had.
The cartoon?
Maybe like an anime?
You're talking about Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ghostbusters.
you got confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Cappy is brilliant, and it's like one of those innovations that Mario, you always want Mario to make, and we love caps, we love power-ups, and this is kind of like, hey, rather than giving you like 2 or 3 new ones, why don't we just give you like 50? And they're not as fleshed out, but they're fun to use.
And I think it's interesting because they said in their treehouse that the way they came about the capture mechanic is they kind of fleshed out every Mario idea they could think of, and then they figured out which ones are fun. The capturing one with the cat was like a very fun one. So then they decided that they just put that everywhere and just make as many different things that you can. Like I've seen some like demos and like there's some weird things like you can capture like traffic cones and trees, and then like that don't do much. And then there's ones that are much more complex where you can capture like brand new enemies that have unique abilities that then you use to solve puzzles.
I want to capture a piranha plant. I want to capture a chain
You want
chomp.
to capture a toad.
I want to capture a boo.
What did you capture?
What did I capture with my hat? Let's see. I went to the Sand Kingdom. I captured bullet bills mainly. I captured this weird like Eastern Island head like guy who had big feet and sunglasses. That when you put the sunglasses down, you could see hidden walkways. So that was a cool mechanic, like the hidden walkway thing.
I love capturing nose pass.
Yeah, that was interesting. What else? There wasn't a whole lot in that section of the sandcastle to capture because there's tiny Goombas that you couldn't become a Goomba.
Yeah.
Because the enemy has to be a little bigger.
I took it over to New Donk City, take over some humans. But the more important thing, you use the cap to like go on like an electrical power line to traverse like higher buildings and
Yeah,
stuff.
and
Like you absorb the electricity almost.
yeah, you become a ball of electricity.
Yeah.
And you can like go from building to building.
Well, I loved, my favorite example was the like little like, what are those, oh gosh, the name of the big head statue things. They're like on an island.
Easter Island. I said that.
Those guys.
Yeah.
The Moa or Mua or whatever
I
they're
don't know.
called.
I forget what they call them in Odyssey. But, yeah.
But anyhow, like that it had a mechanic that was more than just like walking around as that guy. And we saw one in the
Wooden Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's,
Talk about
it's
that.
beautiful. I forget what it's called, but basically it's like an onion. Oh, it's called the uproot, or uproot, I think. And there's a pot on its head, and an enemy that has a hat already on it, you have to knock off first before you can capture it. And then you can become the uproot, and he has vine legs that can extend really high, and then you kind of like shoot your legs up, so you basically get like a super high jump, and you can use that to like push barriers up to get to higher places. And like again, it's like a very specific like. You capture this enemy and he has this one very specific thing that he can do, like the glasses or this uproot with those super long legs, and then you use that to solve some puzzles, which I think is really cool.
I love that it does incorporate into the puzzles, and I hope that we get to see later more complex situations where you have multiple things you can cap, and like which one do you use or how do you use it. Moai, by the way.
And they were
Moai statues.
Good. And they were mentioning that in the treehouse that because when you uncap, when you get out of the body, the enemy stays there for a little bit. So like there might be times where you have to get out, be Mario, throw your hat, then jump back into the uproot or something like that. So it is an interesting like concept, or like switch between multiple enemies. I don't know.
Yeah. See, but while we're on the topic of the hat thing, like we didn't get to play it ourselves, but there was some footage in the trailer of like a boss like being defeated. Like what like eventually do you get like to throw a hat at a boss and control it for a little while?
I can already see the end of the game. You're gonna freaking cat Bowser and get to be Bowser in the final level.
That would be insane.
I'm calling it right now.
Maybe.
I think that's the final boss. You cat Bowser and get to be him. Okay, let's talk about sort of the overall structure in the worlds now.
Okay.
You were in New Donk City, which they're calling Metro Kingdom.
Yes.
And we were in
Sand Kingdom,
Sand Kingdom.
which is also known as Torina.
Yeah. So,
To-
how did we feel about the levels? I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like from looking at it, Sand Kingdom was more expansive,
Yeah.
but New Donk or Metro was more dense.
I don't know if we're for sure, but I'm pretty sure New Donk is the starting one.
Okay.
And so it might be smaller to get you started and like show off more mechanics.
See, but the thing
But
about
maybe not.
New Donk, like it has like a lot of jarring things, right? You see the humans that you can cap, and you got to go around collecting like musicians for your ship and things like that. Also,
For Paulina.
yeah. Also, like climbing the tallest building and then jumping off of it, like, which is very cool. 0 fall damage. Like no fall damage whatsoever. So like that kind of freaked me out a little bit, even though I'm sure I'll get used to
Did
it.
you get tummy twister from the long jump?
You were having a very just like a vertigo moment when he was falling.
Yeah, I was like, it doesn't look right. Like, no, I like my tummy didn't get like in a knot or anything. Just it looks so weird to see Mario just like going down, and then when he lands, he does like this little shake thing where he's just like, it hurt his feet.
Yeah. There was one that I thought was really interesting. It was to capture a moon piece. I didn't play it, but I saw it. Mario runs up to a dude and he's controlling a remote control car.
Yeah.
And you cap the dude and become the dude, and then you remote control the car to get this moon that's like under this little cage. So like again, it's like a mini game within the level. Like
Right.
you have to do, and it wasn't like easy control. Like, the guy was having some trouble
Well,
with it.
while you're on the topic of the moons, very quickly, I just wanted to mention like, it's weird, right? Because you hit a box, there happens to be a moon in it. You didn't know that it was in there. Climb the top
Yeah,
of
you
the
do. They
tower.
glow.
Huh? No, they glow.
The box
The
glows.
box glows
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah, it's something you just stumble upon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and also you climb the very top of the building. There's a moon up there, so like, it encourages you to like explore and like kind of like search like every nook and cranny. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure if the box like glows or whatever, but you still gotta find the box.
Right, and they kind of structured it where when you enter in the level, at least in the demo versions that they've shown, it gives you a main objective, like climb to the highest tower or get to the end of this thing, or find the musicians was like the main objective. But then along the way, you do find more moons, which I don't know how I feel about 100% because it's getting to the borderline of like that open world element where they have said in the treehouse, they said that it is like, not like, they didn't say a collectathon, but they said that there's plenty to collect. There's tons of moons, tons of coins. Each kingdom has 100 purple of its own currency to collect, and they said there's even other collectibles to get. So they said like there's a lot to collect there, which is a little bit shaky for me. I would rather have it be more linear with just the big objectives like Sunshine or 64, or even Galaxy.
I think there's gonna be more of that than you think.
There is, but there is plenty of moons scattered about that kind of, for me in my head at least, if I get the same amount of a reward of a moon from opening a crate to doing the big main objective of climbing up the 8-bit level, which we'll talk about, 8-bit world tower, like that just seems a little bit diminishing and not really doesn't make a lot of sense in my head. But it still does have the linear objectives, and the exploring is cool. It's not like it's like silly.
And I think it is important to remember, like, if these are the opening areas, think about some of the early stars. Freeing Chain Chomp and having him bust down a gate, that's done in a second. Racing Koopa, you beat him very easily. So maybe the moons later on do get more intense. One thing I thought was interesting to note is the stumble upon moons, you get them, and it does kind of go into a little of a cinematic, but then you're just right back there. With the objective ones, where it pops up the specific objective, like at the top of the tower, there's a red screen.
Yeah.
And they're not distinguished in moons. The only different moon we've seen is Grand Moons upon beating one of the Brutals. But I'm wondering if in the collection or in the stats there is a difference of the objective ones versus the stumble
I don't think
upon.
so, because they pop up in the top left corner of your screen, just like you get little indicators when you click the moon.
The red screen, though, it's just I guess just to make you feel more accomplished that you accomplished the objective that you're setting out.
Yeah.
And I do wonder,
Or maybe it's like an indicator, like you did the right one, like that's
Yeah.
the objective, versus like, oh, you
because then
just stumbled upon
do they
one.
give you a new one? It kind of like when you go to the top of the tower, it opens a new one.
Yeah. And speaking just like the open world thing, and like you were talking like the basic levels at the beginning, it's sort of like the same way I felt with Rabbids, where we played that demo and it was like it seemed easy and like simple, but there's such an amazing foundation and groundwork for all the different techniques, like in Rabbids, the techniques and mechanics, and in Odyssey, all the different abilities with the capture of the hat, all the different abilities with Mario throwing his hat and doing everything like that, the different outfits, all that kind of stuff that I won't pass a judgment on it yet, that it doesn't get more complex and more interesting and more difficult.
Well, we'll get to controls and sort of the moveset in a little bit, but first, the level, a lot of variety, a lot of cool enemies, and really cool sections where Mario becomes 8-bit or walks on the wall, sort of like
Yeah.
Zelda Link Between Worlds.
And it's seamless. Like you can pop in and out. Even bullet
Yeah,
bills.
yeah.
like,
You
pop
just
in
go
and
in a
out.
pipe and
It
yeah.
looks so cool. It looks so good.
They even noted that like the music changes, and it does. It goes from like very orchestral music to then like 8-bit tunes, then back to the orchestral music, which is really cool.
It's a little brilliant like touch, and it's a little brilliant borrowing from a different franchise. And I think it does add just another gameplay mechanic, because you could see like you could have one of those segments that's quite long and throw in almost like an old school Mario Bros level into the middle of one of these levels. And I think that there was a lot of diversity. If you look at the kind of platforming, the kind of gameplay we had in the Sand Kingdom versus what you had in New Donk, pretty different. Like New Donk ascending a lot, right?
Yeah.
A lot of vertical gameplay. Ours is more horizontal. I really like the little section that, there are elements from 3D World where you're riding the platforms, have to throw your cap into the
boosters.
the boosters, and then that hits the
explosion things.
explosion things, and then
Rings.
fire out explosive rings. You have to jump over those because then they help knock down blocks that help you get more of the purple currency. We haven't even mentioned the fact that you can use that currency for the first time in a Mario game.
And they did show the Wooden Kingdom as well. And I think it's interesting that they are themed, but their theme is very broad.
Yeah.
Like the Sand Kingdom has like the Day of the Dead type culture plus like Egyptian culture, and I'm wondering if the 8-bit is only in the Sand Kingdom as like the hieroglyphic type thing, like that's like sort of like their like specialty.
What if it's different styles wherever you go? Like,
It
what if
could
in
be.
New Donk there's an area that you like? It's like more like an OG Mario.
This is like
Or Donkey Kong,
this is a
sorry.
weird thought that has like not a lot to do with what we played, but there was an image of Mario Maker like suit, like Mario from Mario Odyssey in the game wearing the Mario Maker
Yeah, you
suit.
can get it. You can get it in the demo.
So So I'm wondering if there's like a further like level where you could like have to like finish like making the level.
Well, there is a difference between there's like
Cosmetic costumes.
yeah, when you go into the Crazy Cap store, there's the yellow currency, which is the coins you can get anywhere and they carry over from kingdom to kingdom, and then there is the purple currency that is specific to that world, and those ones like unlock costume that doesn't necessarily give you new ability, but it unlocks like a new area. Like you have to, like in the Wooden Kingdom there's a Sphinx, and you have to get the Safari outfit in order to get past the Sphinx.
Yeah.
Or in the Sand Kingdom, you have to be able to get into the Day of the Dead like mariachi band area. You have to get the sombrero and poncho. So
It's almost like gating certain areas.
Yeah, it
behind,
sounds like key.
collect enough coins. Yeah, and that's basically what it is. The outfits are keys in this game.
right, and then there are, I think the yellow ones are more cosmetic. Like you can just you can have that Mario Maker and just like run around looking like Mario Maker. I don't think it gives
Souvenirs
you
for the ship.
Yeah, we have seen the inside of the ship in the treehouse.
Yeah.
It's a nice little. It's a very classy tan and brown scheme.
It's because of the white top hat.
I guess.
Yeah, but before we keep going into stuff in the treehouse, I kind of wanted to touch on the controls. 'Cause,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
this is a hands-on video.
I want to say one thing before we do the controls, real quick.
Okay.
Because I did mention that the how the kingdoms are like. They used to be super themed, like very specifically, and now they're broad themed, like everything that has to do with sand, and
Right.
everything that has to do with wooden. Like in the wooden one, that's where the T-Rex is.
Oh,
He's
wow.
underground in the wooden one.
Okay.
And that's gonna have it's like everything has to do with like plants. Like it's like seeds and watering cans. It has like plants. It has dinosaurs. Like it has lizards. Like it has a sphinx.
Mario's going through the almanac.
But like the worlds are have so much jam packed into them, which I
Yeah.
think is an interesting approach. But yes, on the controls.
I controlled like a Mario game, right? And both of you have a little bit of a different perspective on that.
Yeah, you want to start?
I love the way it controlled. I like that the motion seems, for the most part, optional, if not entirely optional.
Well, yeah, it is because you can still play with a pro controller. And
True.
But they did say, I did ask them, and they don't. This is not 100%, but they did say that seemingly in the demo, the only way you can do that spin attack with the hat is by
by-
with motion,
yeah,
and like you
that's
can
why
also
I was-
roll your hat on the ground.
How did you feel about the capping mechanic and then also that spin attack?
I think the spin attack isn't 100% necessary. I don't think there's not many places where you absolutely have to do it. I think it's just a nice addition to kind of clear out areas more quickly if you want to.
Well, what I liked about spin attack was that, and this is the move where you're kind of
It's like the Zelda spin,
both
basically.
Joy-Cons side. But what I liked about it was because that hat doesn't have, it's not a sword, right? It doesn't
Right.
extend from his body.
It spirals out.
It spirals in a radius so that enemies too close to you won't get hit, and so you do have to be a little bit precise with it. And then the one where you throw the cap is more of your direct punch, basically.
Yeah, I will.
And it homes, like you could throw it, and then if you shake the Joy-Con, it would home in on something nearby.
Oh, did it home? I thought you just tilted.
No, it was homed in nearby if you shook the Joy-Con.
Oh, interesting. I will say that it is more like the more recent like Galaxy 2 and Mario 3D World, where to me it feels floaty, like you're kind of on ice a little bit, and it's hard to make like super precise turns. And that's not a flaw in the game. It's just I would rather them be more like you can do littler movements a long time, like how like Mario 64 was. But I do really like the way that you can reset the camera with R just at any point, because that makes throwing the cap much easier. Like when you're doing like those boosting things that you're talking about that activate the exploding rings, like you can just turn to the side, click R, and then you'll face, and then you'll know exactly where you're throwing your hat, because you can reset the camera right behind you and like be very precise with your hat throws, which I think is a nice feature.
But beyond the hat, like you have like the rolling ability now.
Oh yeah, that's a cool.
I didn't even use it in my demo.
And you also have like his jumping is a little bit different. It's like he can like go much further, and we didn't. I don't think any of us like stopped and like specifically like tried any like weird, because there's always multiple jumps for Mario. You know, the sliding one where you jump like a long jump, the triple jump. Like we didn't test
The backwards jump.
Yeah, like I didn't test that stuff out.
When we go back, we'll have to dive into that further. But I feel like his moveset is to encourage maybe quicker and more movement to facilitate the bigger worlds. Like the roll and the spin attack, it's like clearing ground is more important than, you know, just being in the little space that you're in. And there are some gaps between stuff, and a huge diversity in, like, you climb the tower, you know, you're in the village, then you climb the tower, then you go on the moving blocks, then you're down by like a poisonous river, right? So a lot of different environments. Did you guys check out the fast travel?
No, I didn't. Did you?
So every time there's Bowser like checkpoint flags scattered around the world, which are your respawn points. This game does not punish very heavily for death. It takes 10 coins and then respawns you. But each one you activate, you can fast travel to instantly. You pull up the map, and then you can use those checkpoint flags to maneuver around the world at any point.
Okay.
The map is really cool, at least in New Donk City. Like, it looks like a brochure, and it has like facts and like
it's
the
exactly how the
population
Sand
stuff.
Kingdom one it was. It showed like the Sphinx.
It's very much like a travel,
Yeah.
like
Like
traveling.
like the maps are gonna be like different for each kingdom, right? Like
like a brochure almost of like, hey, come here. But I think that fast travel again just like makes me think that they really wanted a Mario where every corner had something interesting to do, rather than like. You're right. I do at some level miss Sunshine 64 and their focus, but at Sunshine 64, you were really only concerned with like the specific part of the level that had the star you needed.
Right.
Whereas this, it's a different mentality because they want you to have something to do everywhere, and I feel like the fast travel is there because you are gonna need to go back and forth, and maybe like, oh, I'm looking for more of the currency, or oh, I need a moon, and like maybe I didn't check over there, and so it almost gives it a very expansive feel that maybe a Mario 64 style wouldn't have given us. And think about how they took Zelda to the next level with that. Maybe they do that for Mario.
Yeah. And for the people that aren't like super pleased with it, right? Like, oh, it's not enough like 64 or Sunshine. I'll say this. I think if we saw the first couple levels of Mario 64, we would feel pretty similar to how this is. Oh, it's too easy. Oh, like it's like pretty limited. Like if you play like the first what's the very first level in Mario 64? I forget. Help me out.
On Battlefield.
Yeah, so you play the first couple levels of 64. I think you also get like not the most. You don't get the best impression of what that game becomes like in the further levels in those first couple levels, and I feel like that's what's happening here, and we're just not acknowledging it.
Yeah, I think it's the only counter I'll make to that. I fully agree, because you play Bomb on Battlefield, you play Whomp's Fortress, you're like, okay, this is cool, but it's pretty simple. It's not until you get to like Cool Mountain, Big Boo's Haunt that things are getting Hazy Maze Cave, things are getting crazy. How many kingdoms do we think there are?
I don't think there's as many as like a 64 or Sunshine. Like, I don't think there's as many levels. I think they're gonna be much more expansive with much more levels and depths to them. Like they showed like with the Wooden Kingdom. Like there's multiple levels that like you don't even on the surface you can't even tell are there.
So are we thinking 5, 4,
5
8?
or 6 maybe? I think
we've seen more than 4.
The only thing
Unless like some of them are like the same one, they just look different.
Yeah, it's hard because again we wouldn't have thought the T-Rex in Wooded Kingdom.
Yeah.
For context, Mario 64 had 15 stages.
Yeah, I think this is less. The thing that I would say to Gabe's point about not seeing the beginning is that it's just a different type of game. Like, because they have clearly stated that it is a big collecting game, whereas like Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine were much more objective based. So it is a totally not totally different, but a very different style of playing a Mario like world type.
Yeah,
thing.
I guess my only point is I trust Nintendo when they say that this is more akin to 64 and Sunshine. I don't think that they're just saying that like without reason. I think we haven't like maybe seen enough quite yet.
Possibly
I do wonder how many kingdoms and how many moons,
5 or 6,
how many moons can be in a kingdom? 20 moons?
25,
10
30.
moons?
Easily 30,
You think?
easily.
I was thinking it was like
Oh
6
no!
or 7.
When you
No?
see some of the how easy some of them are to get, no, it's incredibly easy. Like there's some that are like you can get like back to back to back.
Well, the other thing is, do worlds or kingdoms get expanded? You know, we saw that like when you climb the top of the tower in Sand Kingdom, it pops out, you know, new whatever.
Well-
and there is a part in Metro Kingdom where it says like, oh, come back later.
Well, they said that was just for the demo. They didn't want to have that in the demo. Like this is actually the manhole cover.
Where the guy says like, come the full game. This is the demo. Like, come back for the full.
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
I get it. What I'm saying is like, what if those worlds can?
Well, they did say
Grow?
you fight the Brutals multiple times, and there's 4 of them. So is there just 4 kingdoms, and then you like go back to each one and revisit a new?
No, well I think
part?
you fight them multiple times because they're in more than one kingdom.
Maybe there's 8.
Or that. I
Mario
was
loves
speculating,
8.
Gabe.
Mario loves 8.
Yeah,
Maybe 8 kingdoms.
maybe.
Because let's think.
Well,
We've
because the
already
kingdoms
seen-
are way bigger, so I don't mind 8 instead of 15 with bigger levels.
Because we've seen sand, metro, wooded, food.
Yeah, that food neon one.
So that's already
whatever
4.
Yeah.
There's no way they show every level in
Yeah,
the
no,
trailer.
no way. There has to be more.
So I'm excited. I think there's gonna be a lot. All right, let's just do a little wrap up here. Favorite thing about Mario Odyssey thus far? Go.
Cappy.
that is. Oh wait, the kingdoms have to either expand or you come back and revisit a new part, because like the whole nighttime New Dog City, when like there's like the tanks
Yeah,
and all that
that's the other
stuff,
thing.
and like you can capture the tank, and that's a New Dog City, and you're shooting at a giant like robot centipede
Great
that
point.
is going up like the Empire State Building. That's a totally different
Yeah.
scenario. So maybe
There's
like,
also the nighttime of the sand. I forget the name
yeah,
of it.
Sand Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what you call
So
it?
maybe
yeah,
maybe you can
Tortorina.
use moons. Maybe you use moons to convert the world. Like once
Or-
you collect all the moons, what if it converts the world to night?
That could be it.
Or it could be like once you complete a certain objectives, like once you get the musicians for the night, like the festival, like they play their song and then it flips it to nighttime
Yeah.
or something. I don't know, but they do have to change in some area to come. Like you have to revisit a new part, or like the whole thing completely changes or
Where
something.
does the wedding aspect come into this?
Bowser wants to marry Peach, and so he hired the
No,
Brutals.
I get it, but like we're gonna get like a wedding themed level at some point, like maybe towards the
Wedding
end.
cake level.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
food world.
Instead
There
of
you go,
Bowser,
Food Kingdom
instead
wedding
of
cake
Bowser's
battle.
castles, we're just gonna keep interrupting their weddings over and over.
Good call, Jake. That is, and I do wonder if the moons tie into that night aspect.
Maybe
Because we collect sunshine sprites before.
yeah, stars, shine sprites, and now moons.
It's interesting. It's very very interesting.
There's a
What was
lot.
the wrap up that we were supposed to be doing? Before?
Favorite part. Gabe said the cap and its ability to capture enemies.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And I mean, just from a visual standpoint, like it was cute to see Cat Mario in 3D World, but it's so much cooler to see Goomba Mario, Frog Mario, T-Rex Mario, all that. Your favorite part, Jake?
I don't want to say the same thing because it is very cool, but I like the. I'll say 2 little things. I like the currency and how it's unique to each place, and then you can actually use it to buy some things that actually are more than just cosmetic. And then secondly, and it's a little thing, and I didn't even use it, but the roll, like that shows that they are committed to big worlds that lead themselves to lots of exploring. Like you said, like they want you to traverse quickly and get from point A to point B quickly, and fast travel as well. So maybe just that, I don't know, that they kind of advanced his moveset to fit the worlds.
Those are good ones. I really like the diversity of the worlds. I like how vastly different wooded looks from sand, looks from metro, looks from foodie or whatever that one ends up being. And I'm gonna say that I was encouraged and I liked the platforming sections. I liked the, my favorite moment of the entire demo was when you climb the top of the tower in Sand Kingdom and unlock the moving platforms, and then have to throw your hat into the boosters and jump over those fire rings.
Yeah, it's like one of the very early moments we saw in the trailers, and it looked cool.
Where difficulty is introduced, and you're like, okay, this feels like Mario, like I love him and like I like him, and I can't complete the segment without one of us saying the link between Mario Worlds segment. And that's absolutely awesome. That's incredible, and I think they're just scratching the surface. Think about Breath of the Wild. When we saw that, surface scratch.
Yeah, what the heck does T-Rex Mario do?
Yeah, what happens?
Change out Mario.
Where all does it go?
It's gonna be crazy. I want Boo Mario so bad.
It's probably a thing.
Yeah.
He has been Boo Mario before
Yeah,
in
he
past
has been.
games.
Yeah, no, but like in this, like where I get to like control, like
Cheat Mario. Goomba stacking Mario.
Why are we stacking Goombas? I know we are. I saw it, but why?
We just gotta stack wherever we can.
Get higher?
Yeah.
Sure.
How you gonna climb, Gabe? We should stack us three.
Okay.
We could reach to the top of New Donk City.
All right, let's do it.
And we're still waiting to see that Donkey Kong appearance that I'm waiting for. Didn't they make some tease about, like DK, where we don't know who's the head of New Donk City?
Pauline.
Yeah.
She's the mayor,
Yeah.
at least, and she's from old Donkey Kong games, so
I feel like DK is gonna be in there at some point.
Maybe.
he makes the priest at the wedding.
Can we throw a hat at Donkey Kong and maybe control him for a little bit?
and fight Bowser?
Final point, and then I promise we'll wrap up. The hint of multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
What do you think that could be? Do you think it's another mode like Mario Galaxy where you control?
Yeah, it's gonna be like a
What, you
friendly
control
mode.
Cappy?
No, I don't know. It's gonna be a friendly mode, I think.
Do you think it's something like knock away enemies, or do you think that there's co-op?
No, I don't think there's
just-
co-op.
Do you think that there's multiplayer, like mini games?
No. I think it's gonna be something.
It's
super
not-
simple.
it's
I
not
think
a
it should just be
pointer-
a single player experience.
It's not a
though.
pointer-based game, so
Yeah, I don't know what. Maybe I can highlight stuff, or Cappy can like yell and scare enemies away.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like multiplayer was coming. Like they said, like, hey, it's not something we're ready to talk about quite yet, but stay tuned. I forgot who exactly.
yeah, I'll give you the quote just so you can be real aware. This is the exact answer from game producer Yoshiaki Kozumi, and they asked about multiplayer, if there's anything like that in Mario Odyssey. And he said, well, the first thing I would want to say about multiplayer is that since this is the Nintendo Switch and it does have 2 controllers, it's very easy for you to imagine handing one to another person. So there's probably something that you'll hear about multiplayer, but the timing is not quite there, so I hope you're able to just wait a little bit longer to hear about that. And then as for network features, since this is something the hardware is capable of, there might be something that you'll hear about there as well, and I hope you look forward to it.
What if it's just co-op? Like you play the whole thing with like.
A friend?
Luigi.
Yeah.
Well, and network?
Yeah, online. Yeah.
What would there be?
Online co-op.
So, I mean, they're not confirming it, but they basically are confirming
Yeah.
it. So at some point, we're going to get multiplayer. At some point, we're going to see more levels. And at some point, right now, we got to rush back there and flip. So I got to play Metro. You got to play Sand. You got to play Metro. And
I'm like Wooded.
Yeah, I wish we could play Wooded. We need to, figure out a way to mentally hack the games that we play.
yeah.
Throw a hat. Yeah.
Yeah, capture them and get them to unlock the Wooded Kingdom. But we're not going to capture you guys. We just want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Mario Odyssey? How you feeling about it? Any questions you have for us as we play it? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Until next time, make sure that like button if you're pumped for more Mario Odyssey action. October 27th. Glad it's October. Could have been November. Glad it's October. It's great that it's October. It's a great time for games. Same day as AC Origins, but Mario Odyssey is where our heart lies, and our heart also lies with you guys. So thanks so much for all your support. We love you. Until next time, everybody, for myself, Jake, and Gabe, Switch Force out.